Greetings fans, friends, and family. Your Crafty Diva Cat here with video number 3 in our Needlework Basics series, Winding Bobbins. Now, you've probably heard of bobbins if you're a crafter at all. They're usually used in sewing machines to hold your bottom thread in the machine. This is a different type of bobbin. This is a bobbin box. I used to have 5 of them, I think, that were full before the fire when I had a full set. So right now this is my only one redoing. And what they hold are these little cards that hold your embroidery floss. I highly recommend that you buy the plastic cards and not the cardboard. The cardboard ones last maybe one use before the top little tabs that hold your thread start tearing and falling apart, and the whole thing ends up disintegrating at some point, and then you have to rewind your thread. It's a big mess. And I don't use the little stickers that they sell to write on these. I write on them with a Sharpie, a fine point Sharpie. And the reason for that is that labels on plastic end up peeling and sticking to your floss and making it more difficult to unwind. Now, they sell some pretty fancy bobbin winders out there that are made to there's a little peg that goes through this hole in the bottom here, and you turn a crank and it winds your floss onto the bottom. By the time you get this set up into the bobbin holder and start cranking it, it's going to take you as long as winding a bobbin by hand. Now, your embroidery floss comes in a hank like this, so you're probably wondering, why do I want to bother taking apart this nice little skein with the label on it that tells me what the number is and having to do all this work? Well, once you start working with your embroidery floss, these are going to become looser and looser, and eventually these little tags are going to fall off. And at that point, you're going to have no way of figuring out which color is which, because if you look at the color variations, they can be so close, like these right here, that you're really not going to remember which color goes with which number without something to help you out. Now, when you're winding onto your bobbin, my little trick for doing it quick and easy is to take both your little tags off, open out the floss into a circle, make sure that you've got it all, none of them are folded the wrong way, slide it onto your wrist, and make sure you have the outside end, because there's both an end on the outside and an end on the inside. Once you have your outside end, you just grab your bobbin, and I don't start by going through one of these, because you'll invariably at some point end up pulling that one out thinking that it's your loose end to work with. All you have to do is hold it flat against the card with your thumb, wind it once kind of loosely to secure the end so that it looks like that, and then you can just go to town. And having it around your wrist is going to keep it from getting tangled, so you can go pretty much as fast as you can around with one of the winders, and you don't have to hassle with losing the little pegs that go through the holes of these cards, which is why I used to have to buy multiple winders before I figured out how to do this easier. Once you're working with your thread, you're going to want to cut it in a length that's good for you to work with. Now, I usually prefer cutting them in 36-inch lengths. So how do I measure that without having a measuring tape every time? It's easy. Your arm span is as wide as you are tall. I'm pretty tall, not 6 feet tall, so my arm span isn't 6 feet, but I'm in the 5'8", 5'9" range. So all I do is grab the end, let it run out, pull one arm straight out, measure to about here, and I've got about 36 inches. It works really well. Once you cut it, then you're going to want to tuck your loose end right through that little cut in the top. Take out the strand that you need for working, and then instead of wrapping this around in the same direction, which will make you lose it and forget that you already have a piece cut, wind it vertically around the bobbin, right next to the number. That way, you can still see the number, and you can see that you already have a piece of cut floss. Now, what happens if you do that, and then the piece you're using, you don't use the whole piece, and you want to save it? Simple solution for that too. I must have one in here that's like that. All you have to do is take your end and wind it over, back around horizontally again. So you have the vertical one that shows you already have a piece cut, and you'll see it overlapping in the front when you run around horizontally, and you'll know that that's a short piece. So if you need a particularly long piece, you can pull that off, pull off another long piece, wind it back around, and you're all set to go. And that's my tips and tricks for winding bobbins. Be sure to check out the next video in this series, using dark fabrics. For more tips, lessons, and projects on needlework and other crafts, check out Crafty Diva Cat on Facebook and Twitter. As always, thank you for watching and happy crafting.